like gives us um, kind of some pride a little bit in our service and what we do, because we are a service company first, and we want to again walk alongside that and be that consultant for that client, so that you know they feel comfortable. Because I think every client at some point, or investor, they have a question that they unknown, maybe unconsciously, are asking, and really the question is what I'm about to spend on this house worth it? Now, we can't directly tell them, yes, it's worth it, because it like that would be my opinion. And we might not be in the same position there.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level, and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show. I'm your host, Erika, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Michael Craycraft, the president of GreenWorks Service Company. They are the largest privately owned real estate inspection company in Texas. Michael, it's awesome to have you here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm super excited, looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, I think our listeners are going to be in for a real treat. So let's jump on in. For our audience who doesn't know you yet, give us the rundown. How did you get started in real estate inspection?
Yeah. So my name is Michael, like you mentioned. I've been in the real estate inspection industry for almost 12 years. I got started. I have a construction background. Kind of went through some several jobs after college, but was really kind of in the transition period when I moved from Indiana to Texas, and was looking to get back into the construction industry, but not swing a hammer. So I wanted to kind of figure it out that route. And my wife and I, happened to be buying a house at that time, and our realtor, we were just kind of having a conversation, and he mentioned inspections, and he was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about considering that?" Well, I'd never heard of it until we bought a house before, or at that time. So I started, just kind of looking into it, and I was like, "Well, this seems like it might be right up my alley." So kind of dove back into that, and went back to school, got my license. At that time, most of it was online, and was able to go through that, get the license pretty quickly. And then I got to a point where I was like, "Man, okay, now I got to start my own company," because that's what they tell you in school. And I was like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that." So started just calling around, and some inspection companies were like, "Nope, we don't want to talk to you. You are a competitor. Get out of here." Um, couple people gave me some good direction and some good thoughts, but they weren't hiring at the moment. And then I happened to get a hold of our CEO and owner, Harmony Brown. She was the uh, she was like, "Come on in, let's talk." And went in, and I guess you could say the rest is history. So I was the second inspector hired at GreenWorks, and we were just a couple person inspection company. And then now we have 150 total employees. We have 80 inspectors. So in the last decade, a little bit over a decade, we've been able to really massively scale our inspection company. throughout Texas, and now we're in Colorado and some other states as far as our engineering services go. But looking to continue to continue to ramp up and scale as much as we can, and get into some of these other states, and really bring a good high quality inspection to the country.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
That's really exciting and really something that you started there when you were the second inspector. What was it like being, a part of all that growth up to 80 inspectors?
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a whirlwind for sure. We when I first started, it was kind of like, hey, this is a job for me. We weren't That wasn't the conversation. The conversation wasn't like, hey, let's take over the world and have a bunch of inspectors. But as time grew on and we started building some processes and procedures and really I'm a very analytical person, so I have to know exactly what I'm doing. I can't make it up every day. So, I started building out those processes and kind of going back and forth with our team and really refining them and making them good. And we got to a point where we started bringing on some more inspectors, and we wanted to create, um, we want to be a problem solver, essentially. And what we started to notice in the industry, a couple things was, one, the inspector, they really only work during the summer, and then they take time off during the winter, because the real estate transaction, and that wave is like a roller coaster, and it's lower in those winter months. Well, all of our inspectors are W-2 employees, so that just doesn't work for them. And we don't want a 1099. We don't want them to be, without pay in the winter. So what we started to do was really see, okay, what are our clients asking for, and how do we expand that? And how do we get to a point where we have so many referrals, it doesn't matter what the real estate transaction is doing or what the market is doing, we can keep our people busy. So we really started working through that and trying to solve that problem. So it's how we started as an inspection company, and then we became a environmental company, because if you do your job correctly, you find some mold or some other environmental things in houses or commercial buildings. And if you do your job correctly, the next question is, well, do you know someone that does that? Because mold, for example, we would recommend a mold inspector. Well, do you know a good one? No, we don't. Well, you say no enough times. If you're trying to get in that problem solving mode, well, why don't we know someone, or why don't we do that? So we started bringing on mold inspectors, and sending some of our inspectors to get their mold license so that we could do mold inspections. The same thing happened with our engineering services in Texas. Our soils are so volatile; they expand and contract so much that we have a lot of foundation issues here. So we would recommend, an engineer for foundation assessment. The same thing started to happen. Well, do you know a good engineer? No, we don't. No, we don't. So we say no enough times. Then we started partnering with one. Then we started tracking that, and we were sending that person so much business. Then the question became, well, why don't we bring that internally? So then we started building out our own engineering staff. So we have licensed engineers on staff. We have environmental technicians on staff and consultants. So now we can do the whole process of full structural engineering and full environmental services and testing. So everything we do is on that inspection and assessment side, so that we can give more value and more information to the homeowner, home buyer, or the property purchaser, and our as well as our realtors and investors, we want to be able to serve them at a higher level and provide as much information as we possibly can, because our goal is to get them to that fork in the road. And that fork in the road is, yes, I want to move forward with this house or property, or no, I don't. And we want to get them, not pushing them to one side or the other, but getting them to that fork in the road with so much information and so much education that they can confidently go either way and be okay with it. And that is our goal as a company, is to walk alongside them in that journey. So one of our core values as a company is clients first. And it doesn't mean that the client's always right, because none of us are always right. But what that means is that we insert ourselves into their journey, and we provide as much information and as much knowledge, and remove any frustration that we can to help them along the way, because that's one of the largest purchases people are ever going to make, is buy a home, or as an investor, buy properties, or depending on what the model is that they're in, maybe they'll get up to 10 houses and then they want to go multifamily. But those are large purchases, and we want to make sure that that investment is a good one, and they have enough information to know if it's a good one or if they need to look for a different one. So that's some of our main goals there as a company, is to walk alongside our clients. And I always like to say, we're not an inspection company. We are a service company, and we just happen to do inspections and assessments, or engineering and environmental. But we are a service company first. We provide that level of service, and that is our goal. So
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
I love that. And in terms of how things have evolved for you guys over the years, it just seems really practical. But I mean that, also for like your customers, is that it's a win-win, that, when they need help with this, with other services, that you're right there. With that expansion, has there been a system or a process that's been a game changer as you've grown?
yeah, so a couple things in there is, as we've continued to grow, what we've found is that for the inspector as well, um, it the same thing holds true for the inspector as it does for the client. The client feels more comfortable moving forward with the house or walking away from a property if they have more information and education. The inspector has that same feeling when they are doing the inspection. The more information, the more education they have, the more confident they are to do a good, high quality inspection. So we've built our team around, and their comp structure and everything around adding more knowledge. So the more knowledgeable they become, the more they make, and the more confident they become. So we can keep them busier in the slower real estate transaction months, because they're also mold inspectors, or they're also engineering assistants, or they have this license or that license. So we can constantly keep them busier, um, outside of just the transaction. Also, what that does is it keeps them in a state of variety, where they're not just doing the same thing over and over. Now, that's good for a certain amount of time, but I think us as people need a certain level of variety as well in our lives, so it doesn't become mundane. So that's also helped people be like, oh, cool, I've got some different types of inspections today. This is going to be fun. So that's really helped us been able to scale. And on the business side, the operational side of it, we can send one person to do a job with multiple different services on it. So now we can, the inspector makes more money on that job, but so does the company, because I'm not sending multiple inspectors to do different things. So I can then send this inspector over here because they have all those skill sets, and then this inspector over here because they have all skill sets. So from a routing standpoint, it keeps us a little bit tighter as well. So just as a good example, what we would run into early on was if I couldn't do, if I could do a home inspection, but not a mold inspection, but the house next door was for sale, I couldn't go do that inspection because I couldn't do both of those inspections. So I would have to send you, who had the skill set, next door to me, and I would have to drive somewhere else. So the more skill sets we got our inspectors, we could keep them closer, and they wouldn't have to drive as far. So that's been super beneficial for us, is just getting additional information for our inspectors, which then allows them to go out and convey that information to the client in a better way.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
The other side of it is we are very strict on the processes and procedures that we've had. Doesn't matter the market. Like, this is the way we do an inspection. Now, there's differences throughout the industry. So some inspectors will come and say, hey, we do the inspection this way, which is totally fine. There's more than one way to skin a cat. However, for our company, this is the way you do the inspection. This is the process you follow, and here's the reasons why, so that we can maintain the quality as much as we can. So when you're in a model where you're trying to scale, that becomes increasingly important, so that if I'm not available but I got requested, I have to be able to trust to send one of my other inspectors out there to do the same level of inspection. And if that's not the case, then you essentially aren't a unison company, which is what our goal is to be, as consistent as we can across the board. So our quality becomes the number one focus from our training perspective. So that's been a huge thing. So just adding education and information to our inspectors and our clients, and then also sticking very strong to our processes and procedures have been two things that have really helped us scale.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see where the client education would, lead to a lot more satisfaction with those customers too. The environmental testing and the structural engineering, that's not something that we hear about a lot, but when you need it, you need it. What would you say are, some of the biggest misconceptions with those services that you hear, whether, it's a first-time home buyer or an investor?
I think specifically for those two, you don't know you need it until you see something. And I think that's probably the biggest misconception, is you can be preventative in both of those things. So from an engineering standpoint, if you think about, okay, I don't need an engineer until, I'm expanding the house or something like that, or, maybe someone tells me my foundation needs work. But that's not necessary. Like, so what we do from the education side of things, yes, we can come out and assess it, but we can also give you a maintenance plan. A lot of times with our engineering reports there's a maintenance plan that comes with it. Is how do you maintain your house from a structural standpoint? It's the same thing with our environmental services. So mold, for example, a lot of our reports have conducive conditions. So these are the things that would essentially allow water into an area where mold could then grow. So they're maintenance lists that you can then take and maintain your house. I would say the majority of any inspection that we do is things that we find during an inspection is due to lack of maintenance, deferred maintenance, because most people, based on our experiences, most people live in their houses, but they don't know anything about their houses. They don't know how their houses work, which you wouldn't unless you've built one, or that's like something that you seek after. So you just don't walk around being like, I wonder why that wall is shaped that way. And you just don't you don't really care, right? You go from the bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen, and that's about it. So, our job is to educate as much as possible on like, hey, here's some things that are kind of out of sight, out of mind that could cause you some major issues later. Or, hey, if this goes repaired or unfixed, it it could lead to this. And I would say from an environmental standpoint, by the time you start having some signs that you may have some mold or something going on, or a sickness, like there's probably a much larger issue that you could have prevented later on just by being more aware of it. So, our especially environmental mold is such a educational focus, because I feel like our media has done such a poor job at actually they've done such a great job at scaring people on what mold is, but there's mold in like we're breathing it in right now. There's mold in the air. Now, what we're looking for is excessive amounts, or, it's caused by water that's growing behind the wall or something like that. But walking outside, there's mold coming from the trees and the bushes, but people don't understand that. They just think that if you have mold, then you must have a huge issue, or you must have a water leak somewhere, and which is not always the case. So, there's a huge, and there's also there's a couple types of mold that are really, horrible for our health, but there's over 1,000 different types of mold that they're not all the same. Now, they may affect people differently, so each person's going to have their own individual experience with them. But where we come from is from an educational standpoint, and really telling people, okay, how did it get there? What to do about it? And then connecting them with, a remediation company that can help them remove that if there's a much larger issue. But and I don't want to downplay the seriousness of mold by any means, but it is a much more common thing than most people think. So, and especially here in Texas too, from the engineering standpoint, it's very common to have cracks in your house, but people see those cracks, and they freak out a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to cost me thousands and thousands of dollars," which also isn't true. So the engine, so I always like to tell this story. So we just bought this house, and we, there's some cracking and thing going on in here. So we had a foundation company come out, and the foundation company said that we needed about $20,000 worth of pier work, which is obviously a little overwhelming. You take that back to the seller, they're like, "What are you talking about? No way." So we then have the engineer come out, and the engineer we did all the calculations. They calculated the deflection versus a drop over a distance. So there's a pretty big difference there. And the engineer said no work is needed. It's within the deflection tolerances. So I think to answer your question pretty directly, there is a common misconception that, oh, I have to pay an engineer. I'd rather just have a free assessment by a foundation company. But the difference is the engineer is a third party um, bystander in the process. They don't care whether you need work or not. Most foundation companies, based on my experience, they want your work. So they're going to give you a free assessment so they can tell you that you need work. um, and you're looking at it from a different perspective. So another like our inspectors in our company are trained by our engineers, so that they have a higher level of knowledge on movement within the house. So we can talk about cracks over the doors or cracks over the windows in a higher level, from an engineering mindset, as opposed to an inspector mindset, which is going to be usually led by liability as opposed to empathy or an educational, hey, this is what the engineer would possibly say about it. So we can help kind of ease some of those concerns, especially in an area where that is a huge concern based on our soil types here.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. I was just thinking about all those different services that that you offer, and how much of a difference it can make for people when they're buying that property. Do you have a story like that where whether it was an inspection, the testing, the engineering, something that made all the difference for someone?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, sometimes we lose sight of that sometimes, and I think especially in the inspection industry, I see a lot of like, well, this is my inspection as the inspector, and like, like I run this inspection, but our mindset is completely different, and we want to be alongside that client in this journey. And I would say probably the best example of that is the relationship that we build. Like, we're a relationship business. Like, we're a service company first. And I've had my goal is to not just deliver that information. My goal is to create a relationship with that client, so that so we do the inspection, and then we want to move into that consultant area where I want you to remember me for years to come. So I've gotten calls 3 and 4 years after I did an inspection from clients saying, "Hey, we're moving, we're buying another house. Can you come and do this inspection for us?" So we really focus on that side of it. And if I can meet you for less than an hour and deliver information in a way where you remember me 3 to 4 years later, like, that's a lot of value that I've added to that person's life, and that's a win for me. Now, on the engineering side, there's been a really good example. I remember I did an inspection several years ago, and the client handed me a um, foundation report where they had put something like, it was like 50 to 60 piers underneath this slab foundation. And I was like, okay, that seems like a lot. You basically just turned this into a completely different house. But I went along with my when we get information like that, we look at it, but we kind of ignore it also, because I have to give my own unbiased opinion. So went ahead and did my entire inspection like I normally would, and we do foundation elevations like a lot of inspectors do, but we have a zip level that we measure the floor, and it was still really out of level, even though they had put all that information in there, or that period in there. So I recommended they have, a totally separate engineer come out, and obviously we can offer that, or they ended up having another engineer come out. They didn't move forward with us, which is fine. But I still recommended, hey, have a completely third party engineer. It's going to cost you a little bit. However, like, having a foundation company come out, they're probably going to be incentivized to give you work, right? So the engineer came out, and he ended up recommending. I had done another inspection for them, so I had asked him about that one, and that's always a fun situation where we don't always get to know the results. So, like, let's say they end up moving forward with that house. I don't know who they had come out or what the results were. So but they ended up not moving forward with that house. And they said that the engineer came out and told them that they needed another 50 piers to re-level that house. So you're looking at this house that's not very big, putting like 100 piers under this thing. So I ended up doing another inspection for them a couple weeks later, and I had asked them about it, and they were like, "Man, you saved us so much money and time," because we feel like that was like a lemon, that all these things were hidden. So it's stuff like that like gives us kind of some pride a little bit in our service and what we do, because we are a service company first, and we want to, again, walk alongside that and be that consultant for that client, so that they feel comfortable. Because I think every client at some point, or investor, they have a question that they unknown, maybe unconsciously, are asking. And really the question is what I'm about to spend on this house worth it? Now, we can't directly tell them, yes, it's worth it, because it, like, that would be my opinion. And we might not be in the same position there, but I can give them enough information and enough education where they can feel good about, oh yes, this is definitely worth it, or no, that's going to cost me some more. I don't feel like that's worth it. And that's really where we can come into alignment with our clients, and they tell you that like day one inspection school, don't answer the question, would you buy this house? Um, but that's essentially what clients want to know. Should I buy this house? Right. And if you just skirt away and from that question and avoid it, you're not giving them a yes to that question, or a no to that question. You're just leaving them with their arms up being like, I don't know if we should or not. But if you can educate them and lead them down that path, they can answer that question themselves without me having to say yes or no. And it's just through an education, through information. So, I mean, the other thing I like to say is I'm in the information providing and education business. That's what we do. So whether it's an investor, whether it's a home buyer, it's all the same. Like they want to know, is this worth it? And that's the same thing with our service. If I'm not delivering these results in a certain way where you feel like it's valuable, then you're going to ask that same question about, okay, I just paid you $500 for this inspection. I don't know if that was worth it. Because you didn't see the value, you didn't feel the value. So that's a huge focus of our training for our inspectors is you have to make sure that you are showing up as valuable as you possibly can for that other person, not for yourself. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love the approach that you guys have. Michael, before we let you go, if someone wants to connect with you, learn more about GreenWorks, or, maybe they need help with their next inspection, what's the best way for them to reach out?
definitely. So greenworksinspections.com is our website. You can go there, check out, we have packages and all of our services, and you can chat online with us or give us a call. Me personally, I am on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is Michael Craycraft, so I'm not too many of us out there. Kind of a different name. So, and then M Craycraft is my Instagram. So you guys can send me messages, and I'll get you directed to our call center and get you hooked up if you need some assistance there.
Fantastic. I just loved how, the company's grown and that you've kept quality and service first. It's very inspiring.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to maybe talking again in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for dropping all the knowledge that you did today, Michael. And for our listeners, if you love this episode, make sure that you're subscribed to the Real Estate Pro Show. We've got more conversations coming up with pros like Michael who are doing fantastic things in the real estate world. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.